This is Steve McNallen of the Asatru Folk Assembly, bringing you the latest on the revival of the ancestral faith of Northern Europe and the awakening of the European descended peoples everywhere. The gods and goddesses never went away. They are with us always, and now they stir, and we reclaim our spiritual birthright. A glorious dawn awaits. Hail our awakening! Hail Asatru rising! It's been a busy time here at the AFA. We attended Iger's Feast, held right up the road from us by Hammer of Thor kindred. It was good to visit with Stefan Thorsman and the many AFA members and folk builders who were in attendance. Stefan's events are always enjoyable and, more importantly, spiritually uplifting. They're family-friendly and ritually very powerful. Other AFA members represented us at Lightning Across the Plains, hosted by Jotun's Bane Kindred, led by Mark Stinson. This was a very successful event with loads of people in attendance and lots of energy. We hope to see some of the Midwest folks who were there at next spring's regional AFA gathering near Heavener, Oklahoma, home of a famous runestone. I know I will be there. Another bit of news is the choice of Kat Ellis as the AFA's first volunteer coordinator. Kat's job will be to build the AFA an effective, professional quality staff of volunteers and to manage them as they help move us toward our goals. The fact of the matter is, the AFA has grown to a size and sophistication that demands a more formal structure. We'll be putting that in place over the next few months. Recently, Sheila and I watched a movie called Pillars of the Earth, based on a novel of the same name by Ken Follett. It is the fictional account of the building of a cathedral in early medieval England in the 1100s. It's really well done, with lots of drama, good guys and bad guys, plenty of fighting, and a couple of love stories. But even before the credits had run, my mind was revolving around some questions. Where are the cathedrals of Asatru? And for that matter, should there be any? These questions were prompted by a statement in the movie where the good monk, as opposed to the evil monk, wanted to have a cathedral built because, as he put it, they showed the glory of God over time. In other words, cathedrals were a sign of God's greatness that would last thousands of years and testify to him and to his representative organization on earth. Well, that's a powerful idea. Anyone who has been in the world's great cathedrals can vouch for their magnificence. Though, of course, I do not identify with the religious motivations for their construction, they remain a beautiful part of European culture. They are the heritage of all Europeans, regardless of religion, for the simple reason that they were built by our ancestors and, despite Christianity, are tributes to the very spirit of our people. Stand in them, and you will feel the atmosphere of our ancient forests, the towering trunks of trees replaced by stone pillars, with the muted light and the contemplative silence of the wild. Unfortunately, beautiful as they are, the cathedrals do not have the living quality of the forest, marking a difference between the Christian and the pagan sense of the world. To some extent, though, they make up for this with their soaring grandeur, which effectually captures the upward reach of the European soul in general, and the Germanic soul in particular. Certainly, I would like to see some equivalent to the cathedrals for Asatru, but I am not sure that simply scaling up our hofs would be the answer. True, the wooden stave churches of Norway seem to be based on Asatru precedents, but is that really what we want? When I stand before the gods, it is by myself, or with my family and immediate friends, or at a gathering where I know everyone in attendance. Warlord's retinue, extended family, village, maybe, but a building that would house thousands? I'm not sure how I feel about that. Early Europeans built many structures of stone, Neolithic burials, some of them, like Newgrange, quite sophisticated, defensive works, ritual sites like the many stone circles, and of course Stonehenge. It was a long time before we needed anything like castles, and when we did, we imported the idea from the East, where they had been building fortified structures to withstand siege by large armies for a long time. But once we started erecting castles, we got very good at it. Maybe we will evolve an Asatru architecture of our own that is as distinctive as the Christian cathedrals. Whether it will move us as profoundly as a clearing in the forest, or as a magical glen heavy with the presence of the gods, remains to be seen. But let me suggest a different kind of cathedral. Search in Google Images for Cathedral Reykjavik and see what you get. Soaring, pointed at the sky, the very manifestation in stone of the Faustian, upward-reaching Germanic spirit. If there was to be an Asatru building on the scale of the cathedrals, it might look like this. But that's not really the reason I wanted you to see it. I'm not thinking so much of a building in stone, which we might adapt, as I am thinking of what this edifice calls to my mind. Spaceships. The cathedral, of course, is a place of worship. It may be that the artifact that represents Asatru's mark on the physical world will not be a place of worship at all. Perhaps we will continue to commune with the gods and the ancestors in the same sort of places as we have always done. It may be that the sign of our accomplishment and power will not be a stone building, however large, but something entirely different. The spaceship. Not the tiny little things we have seen to date, but the massive ones of our children's children. I am not the first to compare the spaceship and the cathedral. Norman Mailer noted the similarity in his book Of a Fire on the Moon. But better yet is the tone you'll find in a speech given by Michael D. Griffin, former head of NASA, titled Space Exploration, Real Reasons and Acceptable Reasons. I recommend it, and you can find it online. Though the Reykjavik Cathedral suggests an idea of flight and infinite extension, it cannot fulfill it. The cathedral is still essentially static. Like the cross, it is an immobile thing. We cannot conceive of the cross in motion. At most, it is tipped slightly, as though being carried on the back of Jesus. But its four arms are stability itself, and that too is the nature of Christianity, immobile, unchanging, static, petrified, stone-like. The essence of the spaceship, however, is motion. The upward ascent to the heavens, the long trajectory between the planets, the immense speeds and distances required by travel to even the nearest solar system outside our own. This is motion on a grand scale. Counterpoised to the static cross is the whirling symbol of the three interlocked drinking horns, standing for Odin's transcendent inspiration and energy. This dynamic glyph is, not coincidentally, the logo of the Asatru Folk Assembly. You and I will not live to see it, but our cathedrals will be the spaceships that make a spacefaring civilization possible. A grandiose dream? It may seem like it, but we can have that future if we have the courage and the will to create it. I want my far descendants to be able to look up at a starry sky and point to worlds in the vast blackness where the sons of Odin and Frigga, true to their Hyperborean heritage, have made homes for themselves. We must envision and intend and work for the far future even as we go about our daily lives. Asatru is not some feel-good pastime for a jaded and degenerate society. It is not an amusement competing with games on Facebook or the latest television trivia. It is not a club for Viking wannabes. It is not even just the revival of one more obscure religion thought to have been forever lost. Asatru is the spiritual elixir that will bestow inspiration and immortality on the folk of Europe, on the people of the North, who once, steered by the pole star, and who will someday steer to the stars themselves. This vision is worthy of our cathedrals, the cathedrals of light that will blaze a path to a future at which we can only guess. And on the side of those gleaming vessels will be blazoned the bold insignia of Odin's 3 spinning horns. This is Steve McNallen of the Asa True Folk Assembly, www.runestone.org. See you next time.